Hey, Foot Clan, do you know what? It is the 9th day of Foot Clan. Only 3 days remain. Check it out at jointhefoot.com. See Jason dressed up in his holly jolly goodness as we celebrate a great fantasy football season over at jointhefoot.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
It's Thursday, December 22nd. We are the Fantasy Footballers, and we are back again, Andy, Mike, and Jason.
What is a Thurs?
A Thurs?
Because it's the day of Thurs.
Right. It's when you're really, really thirsty.
Oh,
You got a bad
dropped the
Thurs.
T?
You got a bad Thurs.
That's a bad joke.
It's a bad start. All right, welcome to the podcast. You're just a weird dude with your questions. I mean,
I have questions. I need answers.
What's a Thurs? Who says that?
People who
Man
are
buns say that.
enlightened people who have questions about life.
Enlightened people know answers to those questions.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Andy on this one.
All right,
It's
so
a
people-
real dumb question.
Yeah.
So what is a Thurs then, Jason?
Most of the time we just ignore that.
A Thurs is
I will not be ignored.
You
Dan.
will be ignored.
a Thurs
Right
is-
now.
is a
All right,
fun-
welcome to the show. We have starts of the week for Week 16, your fantasy football playoffs championship game. Jason's Boom Boom Kicker. We have news and notes. We have the fantasy forecast. We have a great quick question. And it's all coming your way right here on today's episode of the Fantasy Footballers. You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Mike, did you figure out when you're periscoping this week?
No.
Okay. All right. Keep us posted, all right?
It's a secret.
Keep us posted over on Twitter at FF Hitman.
Yep.
Jason's at JasonFFL. I am at Andy Holloway, and the website is thefantasyfootballers.com. As I said, it's the 9th day of Foot Clan. Jason's been giving away gift cards and holly jolly goodness over at Join the Foot, so you can check that out. A lot of people are they're enjoying your videos quite a bit.
Sweet. I'm happy to make them. Happy to give out shopballers.com gift cards.
Even if you can't count, even if you don't remember what you're giving away, they enjoy it.
Great, because I can't count and I never remember.
Shout out to our wives.
Oh, geez, yeah.
We were given a gift yesterday.
I don't like opening Christmas gifts. I don't like opening gifts. Mike's like, it's
why?
the best. Here's why. Because I don't ever want to have to fake a reaction.
Yep.
I worry that what if I open it and it's not great? Because I'm going to say it's great, but then I'm lying. You know what I mean? Like
I
I'm
totally get it.
Before I open it, I'm always like, oh, I've got the anxiety. Of
I had a family member who every time they gave me a gift, I think they built this like self-consciousness into me. Every time they give me a gift, they put it in a box or something else. So I'd have to fake the reaction to the thing in the box just because I didn't want to be rude. Like one time they gave me like some toy I really wanted, but they put it in the box for like a gerbil cage. So I had to like act like I was getting gerbils, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I get a gerbil."
So anyways, we open this gift.
I don't give people fake reactions.
Well, see, there you go.
If,
You got the
if
rest
your
of-
gift stinks, then
All
you
right.
need to work on your gifting.
That's one way to get rid of one anxiety. So here's the deal. Open that gift yesterday. Our wives
Dropped it off to the studio.
and the reaction was awesome. It was really cool.
You can see it on Twitter. You can see it on Instagram. They
We
made
got-
some mini versions of us.
We got Barbied.
We pretty much got Barbied. It was pretty darn funny,
Yeah.
especially for a man bun over here.
Oh, he's
because-
the best. He's
yeah,
got
he-
the neck tattoo
Yeah.
on the
On his
action
neck.
figure.
Yeah, on his neck. All right, quick question of the day, guys. How do you feel about the finalists in a fantasy football league splitting the prize money?
Oh, okay. Well, I brought this up because I've been fielding this question quite a few times, and I'm all for it.
Not me.
I'm all for it. If you are in the finals with someone and you before the matchup happens, you make the agreement and say, hey, no matter what, we're just going to split the money. Say everyone takes the guaranteed part of the half of the pot. That's fine by me.
Cool. How about before the season we put in our $50 and then like we all just like distribute it evenly amongst all of us and then don't play.
What?
He's saying like, you could say in the beginning of
But
the
you
year.
don't get $50. You get like $500.
I don't like splitting it. I don't mind making an agreement and being like, hey, you know, 60-40 or something. But put something on the table, man. It's not fun for anybody.
The title is still on the line. You're not saying, hey, we're going to cut the trophy in half.
See, here's my only issue with it, because in truth, like when I used to go play sit and go tournaments, 10 person no hold'em tournaments, when you got down to the final two, I would always chop the pot. I'd be happy.
So how is this different?
And that's what I was going to say. The only reason I think it's different is because I feel like it somewhat diminishes the championship, like the trophy, because I don't care if I win or lose, because now I got the same money as the loser.
It's very different. It's very different. A sit and go tournament is a one-night affair too. This is a season-long battle for a championship. If you do anything to diminish that single title holder, I don't like it.
Yeah,
it's not the title though. It's just the money.
Why?
See, I guess here's the thing.
I completely differentiate the money and the championship.
Sure, and that I get it.
Yeah,
I can see you doing that.
I'm not splitting unless my team looks terrible. It looks great. Sure, sign me up.
Okay, I don't know what we answered there.
News and notes from around the league.
Ian Rappaport is saying there's a new groin injury for Adrian Peterson. Does he have a new groin?
He has a lot of new body
Same groin,
parts.
but a new injury to it?
When you're out for a long time and then you come back, full force, very common in old age to, re-injure. My guess is that
I don't know if he plays.
That's what I was going to say. He's probably gone. After Minnesota's loss, I feel like, why rush him? Why?
They're still in it.
Yeah, they do. I think they have a 1.7% chance of making the playoffs.
Sure you are, Vikings. You're still in it.
All right. So do you think he's going to play or not?
I don't think he plays.
Either way, it was. I mean, we said I'm not playing him last week. I'm not playing him this week.
Todd Bowles said that Matt Forte will not play if his new nerve injury in the shoulder does not improve by Saturday night.
Good, because Powell is
Blah.
He will be a spectacular play once again.
Yeah, I'm going to have to move him up the rankings if Forte is declared out. CJ Fiedorowicz,
Mad Hatter,
aptly named the Mad Hatter by our writers, has cleared the concussion protocol, returned to practice on Wednesday, so he'll probably play.
Yeah,
and
I like him. Mid to lower tight end one. He's been a stud all year.
I worry about him.
It's a new quarterback.
That's my issue is I know last game Griffin got targets from Savage, so but that's such a small sample size to say that Savage uses the tight ends, trusts them. With a week of practice as the starter, I have a hard time in championship week throwing out either of those tight ends and saying I'm putting my future on the line with two average tight ends.
They could both see targets too.
Yeah, I mean
that's
they could.
The problem.
Griffin
that's
has
the
only
had
danger
games.
to me because the Bill O'Brien's offense heavily utilizes the tight end. It's not just Brock Osweiler. Before Brock was the QB, tight ends would still get targets in Houston.
I don't know about that. Think about last year, right?
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien was the head coach.
I recall the tight ends having several games last year.
I recall Ryan Griffin bleeping like once or twice last year. Like I feel like tight end was not a big, like Houston didn't have one. All targets went to Hopkins.
Bryce Petty's going to start, so start your Robbie Anderson.
Yes.
Stefon Diggs is dealing with a hip injury.
Ooh.
So you're going to need to monitor that. That is troubles.
If he's out, I'm hooked on a Thielen.
Are you? Wow.
Oh,
wasn't he concussed?
No, he was just
Blown
smashed.
up. He was just.
He was smashed. He should be good to go, but we've seen what happens in this offense. If Diggs is out, Adam Thielen gets a target increase, and he's already a useful fantasy player. Getting more targets becomes a sneaky start for sure.
Tomorrow on the show, we have In and Out. Guys that didn't practice on Wednesday, Melvin Gordon, Jordan Reed, Jeremy Hill, Tyler Eifert, Lamar Miller, Ladarius Green, Austin Hooper. So lots of injury updates.
The Jeremy Hill news that's not good. I wasn't expecting him to miss any practice, so it's
Rex Burkhead.
Yeah.
Probably need to pick him up.
Yes, you should. You should absolutely pick him up.
All right. You guys have anything else you want to share before we break down the games for Week 16. Kind of a big week.
Yeah, let's move on to the games.
Fantasy Forecast.
You excited for the Giants-Eagles matchup?
It should be a decent game.
Yeah, Janoris Jenkins is questionable right now. That's a pretty big deal. Now, obviously, you go, well, who's he guarding? But Dorial Green-Beckham or someone like that. So I don't.
Nelson Aguilar.
But at the same time, he has allowed the Giants' defense to do so much by locking someone down. So that'll be interesting. But I am looking forward to tonight, mostly because I want to watch football. It's been a few days.
Okay. All right. Don't forget Week 16 weather conditions. We put out an article on Sunday morning. Eric Ludwig writes that, and it is a great resource at this time of year to jump in, take a quick look, see how things are breaking down. Last week, I made a number of morning adjustments, like dropping Mike Wallace down due to the wind in Baltimore. And I dropped Aaron Rodgers down a little bit based on weather reports. So you want to pay attention to that. If you have one of those split decisions, it's just a great article to check out. Saturday, we're starting with Saturday games now because it's Christmas Eve. And we're going to start with the Dolphins and the Bills. Look, I've made my opinion known on what I believe happens in this game. And I did not know the line until just now. The Bills are favored by 3.5. I think they win this game. I think they disappoint every fantasy owner for Miami players. So that's my outlook on the game. I think the Bills are going to win it. And I don't like Matt Moore. Despite his 4 touchdowns last week, he only had 12 total completions. Now he travels. I don't like it. 30 degrees outside. You're not in Miami. You guys share your opinions on starts and sits in this game. Because Ajayi is one guy that we have to talk about. Last 6 games, he has like 1 touchdown, hasn't surpassed 87 yards.
Well, the offensive line has been an issue for the Miami Dolphins. When he was racking up back-to-back 200-plus games, the offensive line was healthy. The offensive line has lost key pieces, and Ajayi's play has absolutely plummeted. I'm still okay playing him as a running back, too. He's a starting running back. He's going to get volume, but I'm not expecting huge things in this weekend against the Bills.
You also, I wonder. I mean, this is silly, right? Because
totally
NFL defenses are always, up for the task. They're they've riled themselves up.
Tell that to the New York Jets.
Okay, if there's anything to play for at all. But remember, Buffalo is where Ajayi got 28 carries for 214 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty embarrassing. And at that point,
and it wasn't
at
in
that
Buffalo
point,
either.
Buffalo was supposed to be a good run defense,
Right.
And then Buffalo, oh man, Ajayi exposed some stuff. I feel like they have some payback. Ajayi, I agree. Ajayi had those 3 monster games: 204, 214, 111. Since then, he has not crossed 100 yards, and that's dating back almost 7 games.
I have him buried. I have him at 24. So right at the end of the RB2 list. Doesn't mean you can't start him. I just temper those expectations, and I wouldn't expect what Jason just brought up, his monstrous 200-plus yard game.
Yeah, I will say, just recall, the Bills' running defense, as of late, has not been very good. You had that Le'Veon Bell explosion. Before that, against Oakland, they gave up 135 and 2 touchdowns on the ground, 100 yards before that to Jacksonville. So it's not out of the question for me that Ajayi can have a fine game.
Okay, so what do you do with Landry? Because I did not like Jarvis Landry last week. I felt like I was right, and then he got that 66 yard.
Only 3 catches. I buried Landry as well.
Yeah, it's Matt Moore is a much different quarterback. Matt Moore will go deep, so you have to lower your expectations for Landry. I would still play.
The Bills only give up 19.3 completions per game, which is second best in the entire league. So there's not a lot to go around necessarily for that wide receiver core. Landry falls in line, right? You're still starting him.
Yeah, I would still play him
if you don't have a better option.
And I would still play Stills as a wide receiver 3 because it takes just 1 play.
The Dolphins' defense has allowed 5 yards per carry and now faces my number 1 running back of the week.
Woo, the slippery fish!
LeSean McCoy. I'm only disappointed, Mike, that you didn't make the championship game in our league of record where you have McCoy because I wanted the normal weekly occurrence where you complain about McCoy the whole day, but he always has 2 touchdowns and 5,000 yards.
Yeah,
I'm going to miss it.
Hey,
Can you do that for me even though you're not?
I certainly.
You're playing for third
I
place.
certainly can. And the Shady McCoy owners out there, I know that they're right there with me.
Yeah, enjoying owning him. That's
Yep.
for sure. Sammy Watkins is not healthy. That's
Yeah,
what Rex Ryan came out and said. He's not 100%. He only played 64% of snaps. I don't have a confidence level in Watkins this week, not with all the other options that are out there, all the other potential good plays like a Robbie Anderson, those type of guys. Do you guys disagree with that on any front?
Nope, I do not disagree. And then before we move on, Dion Sims, 2 touchdowns last
Well,
week.
you might as well bring up Charles
That
Clay,
was-
too,
that- I was
because
gonna
Clay
say
has
that
2
too.
touchdowns over the last 2 weeks.
So anything there for you guys? Do you
No.
have?
Deion Sims scored both his touchdowns when Damian Williams failed and then Ajayi failed on the goal line.
But you think they're both going to fail?
Yeah, but I don't think that means Deion Sims is going to have 2 touchdowns again.
No, I agree.
It's just a-
3?
Right, yeah, I'm
maybe.
saying he's going to go to 3.
I'll say this.
They'll be lucky to get on the goal line.
Adam Gase's offenses have notoriously used the tight end, especially around the goal line. Ryan Tannehill has never been able to get the ball going with a tight end. So it's worth noting I bumped Dion Sims up in my rankings, but I don't think I've bumped him up to the point where you can play him in a championship week. Same with Charles Clay. I would rather start Charles Clay because he's much more involved in the offense throughout.
Just more yardage.
Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't get the touchdown, he's not going to crap your team. But I still think there are better options that I hope you have if you're in a championship. Unlike me, who I am playing Charles Clay in a championship.
Yeah. Yeah, Deion Sims is at least on the field. You know what I mean? You're going to have an opportunity around the goal line if they get there, but that's what you're banking on. I hope you have a better option. Falcons, Panthers, 52.5 point over-under in this game. Panthers are 3.5 point underdogs at home. This game, to me, is going to be very interesting because I think there will be points put up on the board, or as Jason said, on the clock.
Thank you.
I love Cam Newton. We'll talk about him in our starts of the week later. Hint.
Ooh, you're out of a bounce back coming then.
A bounce back from what?
From last time they played.
Oh, I thought
When
you meant
Cam-
from last week where Cam Newton was the top 5
No,
quarterback.
this is a different team that just demolished Cam Newton last time.
Yeah.
Demolished.
Well, I like Cam this week. I like Matt Ryan. I don't think, you're going to sit Matt Ryan. People have asked, would you sit Matt Ryan for these other
No way.
kind of upside plays? Not a chance.
Matt Ryan was almost my start of the week, so certainly not a guy you need to sit going to Carolina.
He's the start of every week right now.
Yeah. He is Julio. If he plays, you're playing him?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I'm just confirming for the people.
You brought up yesterday, last time Julio faced the Panthers, he had 300 yards. I think he was resting up for that. He's like, whoa, that Carolina game looks good. I'm going to rest up till
I need
then.
400 next time.
Yeah, this will come down to the Panthers' defensive line versus that offensive line for Atlanta and what they can do to give Matt Ryan time. The Panthers' defense, for all of their faults, the one thing they do well is sack the quarterback. They're the number 1 team in the league in doing that. So can they cause enough problems for Matt Ryan? Probably not. Probably not. This game's going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion. Here's what I want to know, guys. I mean, what do you do with Ted Ginn this week? Because Ted Ginn,
I play him.
I mean, every week right now, they seem to be back in that groove towards, of last year, where Ginn is getting 2 or 3 deep shots a game. Last week, he could have easily had a second touchdown. He just barely dropped another bomb. He has scored in 4 of the last 5 weeks, double digits in 4 of the last 5. His floor is the 2 for 21 game, but his ceiling is so high.
What's crazy is the last 5 weeks he has outscored Kelvin Benjamin in fantasy football. That's nuts.
Since week 10, so weeks 10 to the present, he's number 7. He is wide receiver 7.
Yeah, you've got to play him.
I would play him. I mean, it's like Andy said, the floor is sub-basement levels, but they've realized that they can't just lock on to Kelvin Benjamin, and you got to get Ted Ginn involved.
Yeah. Yep.
What about the running backs? You good with Jay Stu this week against the
Totally.
Falcons?
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Jonathan Stewart this week. I like Freeman and Coleman. Coleman's obviously down the list a little bit compared to Freeman.
Jonathan Stewart over his last 5 games has been in double digits for fantasy every week except for the 1 week where he went to Seattle, the number 1 running defense. You're not going to fault any running back for not getting it done on the road in Seattle. Outside of that, 12 points, 23 points, 15 points, 16 points. I think Jonathan Stewart is a guy you must play against a bad Atlanta defense at home. Jonathan Stewart should not be on your bench.
So here's a great question for you guys to debate, because we already talked about Jay Ajayi. Would you start Jay Ajayi or Jonathan Stewart? Because
that's a great question.
I have Jonathan Stewart 12 spots ahead of Ajayi. I have Stewart 12. Ajayi is 24 right now. As of, we just put our rankings up last night, and these are going to bounce around. But you guys both right now have Jay Ajayi above Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah, Ajayi needs to. I already have a note on my list. I remember where I have him, and I don't like where I have Ajayi. So Ajayi will be moving down for me, certainly. I believe below Jonathan Stewart. I want to play Jonathan Stewart. I worry about playing Ajayi. That shows me where my rankings should be.
Taylor Gabriel has been on fire. Do you ride those flames into your fantasy championship week, even if Julio Jones is back?
Yeah. It's like Ted Ginn. I mean, you're reluctantly going to play him. But
is the reluctancy simply
because there's no volume?
Is that true, though?
Yes, it is true.
Well, the last 2 weeks he's had 3 receptions in both games, and those were the weeks without Julio. Ironically, the 2 weeks prior he had more 4 and 5 receptions.
Those are the hardest guys to play.
Yeah, they really are.
Gabriel or Ginn?
Ginn.
Yeah, I'm going to play Ginn, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure my rankings say that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hey, before we go to the next matchup, we want to tell everyone once again about Fandings. You've heard us talk about them before. In fact, we've done Fandings debates of the week on the show before because we love debating topics, right? Our quick questions every single day.
Every sports fan loves debating.
Every sports fan and every fantasy football fan, you like winning things. You like winning debates, winning topics.
Well, Mike likes to split the pot, but other people like to win.
Likes to actually, take it to the limit. Fandings, I mean, you can go on. You can download their app. It's completely free on iOS. I believe they even have fandings.com. You can go check out their new website.
Sure,
that looks good. And here's a perfect example of a question. Here's one that's on there right now. What excites you more over the weekend? A win by your favorite team or a win by your fantasy team, and why? And so people are debating that right now. Yeah, you can go debate
I'm going to jump in today because I have some strong feelings about that.
And you can vote on that for the next day or so, and just check out all the questions. You can post your own and just debate, just win. And I think there's even leaderboards now where you can show that you are a better thinker than all of your foes out there, and enjoy yourself. Go get the Fandings app right now or visit fandings.com.
Yep, you can actually go to app.fandings.com, and it's a one-button click, and it's free. I mean, that's the thing. It's a free app.
Yeah,
it's really great to debate one another, and they've redesigned the app to be even better. So we're talking also, look, Christmas is here. I cannot wait to open up presents under the tree and find my J.J. Watt signed red matte mini helmet or my Dak Prescott Cowboys custom frame jersey or the other hundreds of gifts available at pristineauction.com.
You must have some friends who are just shelling out the cash for you, my friend.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You can get authentic, autographed sports memorabilia at a completely affordable price. And look, it's an auction. So if you snag something at a low price, they don't come back to you and say, well, that's too cheap. You owe us another $50. No, they don't do that. And they don't have that voice even. They have a much nicer voice over at pristineauction.com. Look.
Yeah, see?
Yes. Come check it out. Look, we love them. We've loved them all year long and told you about them. And everybody, literally every single person that we have communicated to about Pristine Auction, they check it out. They love it. Yesterday, one of our friends sent me a text. They spent $8 and bought a signed Jay Feely 8x10 photograph from the Cardinals, and he's like, bring Feely back. He just wanted to go on there and grab something from the Cardinals past. We all have those memories, and there's no way that you want to commemorate something more than having that on your wall. So it's really cool.
Please bring Feely back.
So, oh yeah, you hate Chandler Catanzaro.
I hate Chandler Catanzaro.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You rated him number 99 in the kickers this week.
He is my kicker 99 this week. That's correct.
That's a lot of all the backup kickers are behind him. All the third string kickers.
I'm taking punters ahead of him.
All right, check it out. PristineAuction.com. PRISTINE auction.com. We're talking Redskins and Bears now. Another very interesting game. To be honest with you, a lot of the matchups this week really intrigue me. You wouldn't think a Redskins-Bears game would intrigue you at this time, but the Redskins fighting to get in the playoffs. Bad performance last week from Rob Kelly. On the other side, Matt Barkley somehow made 3 wide receivers fantasy relevant with Thompson, Meredith, and Jeffrey. Jordan Howard's been on fire. Jordan Reed, the other Jordan in this affair, has been retired.
I had a dream last night.
Oh, goodness.
About you
Another
two gentlemen.
dream.
Yes. You two had rated Jordan Reed super high and were recommending people to start him this week, and I had to fight you on it and say no.
In the dream.
What are you doing? So I'm having nightmares about Jordan Reed's performances over the last few weeks here.
Here's what I want to know about that, though. If Reed plays, would you play Vernon Davis?
We saw last week that Vernon Davis was the better play over Reed. So
but he was so bad.
he dropped the touchdown that he normally would get. I would be willing to. I would certainly play him over Reed at this point. But again, that's like.
Well, look, last week we dumped Bilal Powell a little bit. Not all of us, but look, Forte was active, and that scared people about Bilal Powell.
Right.
If Jordan Reed is active, which he probably will be, nonsensically, Jay Gruden, that might scare people off of Vernon Davis, where Vernon Davis might be an actual better play than a C.J. Fiedorowicz or a Dion Sims or a Charles Clay or any of those guys.
I have the choice right now between Davis or Charles Clay. I have currently decided to go with Charles Clay, and based on what I said earlier, hopefully you have better options.
But you see them close?
I do. I see those two guys as very close.
Okay. Mike, do you have any thoughts? You're the resident Jordan Reed apologist, owner, all of those things.
Yeah, don't play him.
Okay. So, I know you like Rob Kelly.
Yeah, I would actually but my body I would disagree that he had a bad game, at least speaking for fantasy purposes, as he was in our league, had basically 14.5 points because Rob Kelly's turned into a pass-catching machine.
It's those sweet hands.
You like flippers. The 9 carries for 8 yards?
No, but I do like the 4 for 47, and he also scored a touchdown.
Okay.
And you have the Bears, who are not a good run defense. They were destroyed by a wide receiver converted to a running back last week.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll
So
talk
what
about
you're
him.
saying is when I say he has a bad week, you're saying the silver lining was he really, even though he didn't run well, he didn't hurt you in fantasy.
Correct.
He found a way to make a bad game a good game for fantasy owners.
It's like,
so you've got enough confidence in
and
him.
Carolina's run defense is very good.
Great.
They were on it. The game script was against Rob Kelly. He still had a good fantasy day. I do like Rob Kelly this week.
All right. Well, you love Jordan Howard, no doubt.
Yeah, he's good.
Would you play Matt Barkley?
I would.
I would not.
If you're in that streaming situation, I'm okay streaming Matt Barkley.
I refuse.
Well, look,
to buy in.
the Redskins have given up.
That's fine.
They've given up a completion percentage of 66.2% in the league this year, which is, I think, 4th worst in the entire league. If there's an opportunity for Barkley with weapons, right? Jeffrey, Meredith, Thompson, the weapons are there. And I'll talk about Alshon Jeffery in a little bit as well. So on the other side, last week, Mike, you were a big D-Jax fan.
Yeah.
He had a big game. He had a volume game. But the game script was a lot of comeback from Kirk Cousins. A lot of yards between the 20s, no touchdowns. Fine starting D-Jax this week?
Yeah, I'm still fine with it. Hopefully the referees can accept the fact that D-Jax is an awesome wide receiver, and when he's on the sideline, he makes catches.
Yeah, those were super impressive catches.
They were really
Stop
good.
making Gruden challenge everything.
Honestly, that second challenge, I there's no way if I was the ref there that I would have called that a catch in live action, because that was impossible. And he got that. That was amazing.
And we saw that rule carried into fruition again, where it's like Gruden had to challenge them both. Well, you've won both your challenges, so we're going to award you a third challenge as a gift.
Fine, we will let you do it.
You can have a third one.
You know who I'm starting in
Yes.
most leagues is Pierre Garçon.
Yes.
Pierre Garçon has quietly been a great second or third wide receiver for fantasy teams. Since the bye in week 9, so basically the entire second half of the year, there's only been one game where he's been in single digits for fantasy points and half-point PPR. You're talking about 6 or 7 receptions in 4 of those 6 games. He's just been extremely involved, and you saw it last game, right? He didn't get a touchdown, but he got 7 for 78. And if you're in, a PPR or half point, he's getting the volume, and he's clearly been involved enough, especially with the absence of Reed. I think Garçon is if you've got the big guys, if you've got your Odell Beckham, and you need that flex that's just not going to have 2 points, I think Garçon fits in.
Can I ask him a follow-up real quick?
It's just I want to piggyback on him real quick. Since week 10, in half-point PPR, which is our scoring format, he's been the wide receiver 10 in that time period. I mean, he's getting it done.
So you said, Jason, that if you had an Odell Beckham Jr., maybe a Mike Evans, a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You like Garçon. Would you play him over Taylor Gabriel as your 2?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a good example, right?
That's a
Yeah, I
perfect
would.
example.
Over Tyreek Hill, over Ted Ginn.
Yes, Tyreek Hill, Ted Ginn, Taylor Gabriel, their ceilings are higher than Pierre Garçon. They can go out and put up 38 because they took 2 screens 70 yards to the house, but their floors are much lower, and I have you need those solid points when you're constructing your roster. So yes, perfect example.
We need to move on. Talk Vikings and Packers. The Packers are nearly a touchdown favorites in Green Bay this week. Weather's going to be in the 20s. We'll monitor that and let you know what's going on. It might affect the passing game if it deteriorates. Over under 43. What do you think?
Yeah, that's with. I got a little jumbled up on my words there. I like it. It's Rodgers. You're playing him. There's very, very few quarterbacks who I would play over Rodgers this week, despite him being hobbled and despite the weather concerns. With his hamstring and his calf, you can see it while he's playing, but it's not affecting his play. He's still getting it done. Ty Montgomery continues to show his elite levels of skill for football, and he improves that team dramatically.
He improves that team. We, however, with Minnesota coming into town, we have Montgomery right now. Somebody asked me on Twitter, is your ranking for Ty Montgomery this week an error, a problem on your website? Because we have him consensus 28. Right now that's in wide receiver. So that's the hard part is that you have him eligible in both. So let's talk less about the rank and more about the production levels you can expect against Minnesota this week. It wasn't like Christian Michael struggled. He's a great change of pace to Montgomery, a great opportunity for Michael last week, scoring a touchdown.
That's really all he did, though. I mean, he had on the week. I think he had around 45 or 46 yards, and that included a 42-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it was a good run, but
it was the Ty Montgomery show.
That's what I was just gonna say.
But what does he do against Minnesota? This game does not have a high over-under. Minnesota's a pretty tough defense. Obviously, they have not been as much of late, but they only give up 12 points a game on average. Ty Montgomery is a RB what this week?
I think Ty Montgomery is an RB2, which means in most leagues you're going to be starting him. I think, if when you look at the rankings between wide receivers and running backs, once you get past those first few guys, they just fall off a cliff. And Ty Montgomery, when he's in your running back position, is even more valuable. There are plenty of wide receivers in those top 20s, which is why you see Ty Montgomery down at 28 for wide receivers. Personally, I think that Montgomery has a fine game. He's going to be the starting running back. He's going to be utilized. I don't expect a touchdown in this game, which just limits his upside for me.
I mean,
he has scored in the last 2 weeks, obviously, and played well against Seattle. I can see him on the fringe.
That's where I have
RB.
I have him right on the fringe of low end 1, high end 2. The Vikings, we're coming off a week where old man strength Frank Gore was unstoppable.
Went over a hundo.
unstoppable against this vaunted Vikings run defense. I'm not worried about Montgomery at all.
All right, Devonta Adams let everybody down last week, had a terrible week.
Still had massive opportunity.
Oh,
Jordy Nelson, on the other hand, was great again, despite not scoring. Big yardage. You rank these Nelson, Adams, Cobb.
I'll take Nelson. Cobb is an afterthought. Cobb's not even getting targets.
So much for Randall Cobb.
Yeah,
They paid him that money,
it's really disappointing.
and he's not the same player.
Yeah, something's missing from his game, but it's Jordy Nelson's must play, and Adams is still a fine play. I know that the Vikings have great corners, so if you're concerned about anyone, it would be I would lower my Jordy and Devonta Adams expectations a little bit, but I'm playing him.
I'm not touching Jordy myself. Jordy is he's up there for me, but
You're not moving him down.
yeah, I'm not moving him.
Both Mike and I
Sorry,
were like,
sorry. No, I said that horribly.
oh.
I'm not moving him down. He's my 4th ranked wide receiver.
My mind was exploding inside. I
Well,
was like, wait, you're not touching Jordy Nelson?
I'll touch him all over.
I'll start him.
I'll touch him.
Wait, what? Okay. All right. We're
We're
back.
Love Jordy Nelson. Devonta Adams, you're playing with fire. You might get burned. You might.
I'm starting Devonta Adams. If you didn't watch the game last week, Devonta Adams had 2 touchdowns he just beat his guy and he laid it right in his hands and he dropped it on the right side and then he comes back a different drive, drops it on the left side.
You heard it here first. When you drop it, you're a great wide receiver.
No, I'm just saying that the opportunity was there.
No, I know.
and it wasn't like he wasn't getting the targets or the red zone work that we were used to. He just had a bad game.
We talked about Adam Thielen, the potential for him in the absence of Diggs.
Sorry.
I like that call. I think this is a game where they'll be playing from behind. Adrian Peterson, we don't know if he'll play.
Meh.
We'll talk about Kyle Rudolph, and he's been great. He's been targeted 7.7 times per game, which is second among tight ends. He's my 2nd-ranked tight end, and we'll talk more about him in the starts. We need to move on, though. Let's talk about the Browns, Chargers. The Chargers heading into Cleveland. Cleveland has 2 shots left to save their season. Yeah, save their season by winning a game. RG3 is going to start. I'm not touching a Brown other than Isaiah Crowell. I actually like Isaiah Crowell. I think he's okay this week. I'm not touching another guy. I'm not touching Pryor.
Yeah.
I'm not touching Coleman. I'm all about touching people this week.
Yeah,
geez.
you're getting very handsy.
Handsy, very handsy. Thoughts?
I'm with you. I'm okay playing Crowell. I don't personally love it. The Chargers are pretty solid against the run, 9th when it comes to yardage. I mean, we still kind of have the imprint of they're terrible. They're a terrible run defense. That was the beginning of the season. That was minus Joey Bosa. That one defensive player has really helped turn things around. It also helps that their corners have been tremendous, shutting that down so they can focus more on the running game.
Yeah,
But-
Crow hasn't done anything spectacular since week 4. He's had
Yeah.
only a few double-digit games since then.
You
He
know,
gets
He's
volume,
been,
but
he's been okay.
yeah, that's what I mean.
He has been okay.
20th ranked running back, and I have him at 19 this week.
Yeah, and San Diego's, for fantasy purposes, the 26th best defense, which is not the good against running backs. Duke Johnson is another name we should at least mention. We had our bet, which is why Andy is eating lunches that I make him eat this week.
Yeah,
I'm picking
yesterday
his lunches.
sucked, by the way.
Oh, if you didn't see the
No, it really
if
sucked.
you didn't see our tweet of the photo, Mike and I went to a ribs to go place. We got all these ribs, we
Mac
got
and
barbecue
cheese.
chicken.
No, I can name everything you
oh,
got.
sure.
Onion rings. You got
They were
Texas toast. You had mac and cheese. You had beans. You had ribs. You had barbecue chicken. I smelled it all. I saw it all. I loved the thought of eating it.
We
and
laid
yet
it all out on the table, and then on the right was Andy's little side salad.
You got me like a side salad.
The side salad had chicken salad with it. Come
Yeah,
on, we're not
come on.
we're not
Nobody-
barbarians.
Oh, it was great. So, anyways, the reason for that is because part of the bet.
Duke Johnson's fault?
Well, no. I was going to bring up. We've been talking about the fact the over under was 3 receptions, and we've been talking about Terrell Pryor got 4 for 19. But
Dominant.
Duke Johnson was kind of lost in that.
I'd rather eat a side salad
He
than
had
start
5
Duke Johnson
He
this
had
week.
5 receptions for 31 yards. So he actually had 5. Crushed the bet.
Yeah, crushed the bet. All right, we don't think Melvin Gordon's going to play.
No.
You got to like Kenneth Farrow
Yes.
as an RB2 with upside potential this week. Tyrell Williams, Dontrell Inman, which of those two guys would you start, Mike, if you had to choose one?
It's a scoring fat. Scoring fat.
Scoring
It's a scoring format dependent question. If it's
Standard leagues, you
if
like
it's
Tyrell?
standard, I'll still go with Tyrell Williams. I'm going to go with the big play guy. But PPR, Dontrell Inman has become a pretty reliable guy here towards the second half of the season.
Dontrell Inman or Pierre Garçon this week?
Oh,
I'm going Garçon.
Because you're looking
on
for that solid, right? You're looking for that 5-6 catches?
I would go with Garçon.
You both would?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I
We're
mean-
talking Garçon and Inman at this time of year. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. You got to talk with guys who are going to play.
You guys will have to tweak your Garçon rankings.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a note here
Sure.
to do that.
I like Phillip Rivers a lot. I'm going to actually talk about him in the starts of the week. That's how much I like him. The tight ends, you have Gates and Henry. Gates chasing the record. Henry preventing Gates from getting to the record. Who are you playing, Gates or are you playing Henry?
I'll play Gates.
I'm going Gates first, but both of them I think are okay starts. And
Hunter Henry or the Mad Hatter?
I'm going to go Hunter Henry.
I'll play Fiedorowicz.
I think we've seen Cleveland be so bad against tight ends every single week. That's why I played Charles Clay last week, who was the number 2 tight end. We've seen Hunter Henry break loose. I'm going to go for the upside of Hunter Henry in that.
Hunter Henry or Charles Clay?
Yeah,
Clay.
well, I was going to start Hunter Henry. I'm in the league that I'm starting Charles Clay in our championship. I was going to go start Hunter Henry, and he's rostered. Dummies. So
Hunter Henry, for perspective,
I know he doesn't catch a
has
lot.
not had more than 3 catches since week 6,
Yeah, but it was last week.
which he had 3.
Yes, recency bias.
But he has 4 touchdowns in that span. So that's what you're 100% banking on that. I wouldn't touch him.
I'm not 100% banking on that.
How can you not be?
so
Here's my rationale. I'm banking on when we watch film, he looks really good. He's made great catches. He's used in the red zone, and he's talented. He was drafted as a talented guy coming out of
I
college.
don't care what he looks
And
like or
the-
drafted. I want
and
his
the
fantasy
matchup.
points.
Regular
And
MC Hammer over there.
And the matchup against Cleveland. It is the conglomeration of all of those things that allow me to take a gamble on.
Over Gates?
No,
I
I
didn't.
said
we didn't-
Gates.
So
first.
you're going. You'd rather start the tight end 2 with very limited catches against Cleveland than a lot of other starting tight ends.
Then
Well,
some
than
other
the 2 I listed.
Yes, then CJ Fiedorowicz
Or
and
Charles
then Charles
Clay.
Clay was close, but yes.
Okay. So then what's the bet? Because we're making a Hunter Henry bet.
Ooh.
There's no doubt about it, and you can name it.
Okay, top 15 tight end.
Oh, it's on. It's
Water
on.
bet.
That's a great bet. That's a great bet for me.
It's on. Yeah, one
Because I love betting on Cleveland. That's my real. That's why I'm eating a side salad right now. All right, the
Done it again.
Titans and Jags. I'll try to get through a preview without saying I'm going to touch anybody.
Not likely.
I don't want to get infected with whatever Bortles has, so I will not touch Bortles.
I will. He's my stream of the week.
I know. I could just click. We really disagree on some guys this week. Marcus Mariota, Blake Bortles facing off. Love Rashard Matthews. Love DeMarco Murray. Love Marcus Mariota. Love the Titans. Hate the Jags.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I think that's.
I would
pretty
start. I
solid
would start
assessment.
no Jags. I would start all my Titans.
I think that is fair. Where, look, the Titans have looked like a playoff team. They could very well be in the playoffs. Mariota, Murray, and Henry have been great. I agree with your premise, but if the Titans are going to be the better team and they're going to have a lead, I think you're going to see some garbage production that might come from an Allen Robinson
Oh my gosh,
or
that's
Marquise Lee or Blake Bortles.
Garbage production is the best name for Blake Bortles. Just
Like, that's his band he's in?
yeah, he's in the band Garbage Production with Allen Robinson and
Yes.
I mean
someone's gotta-
vocals.
only yeah. It's just
Garbage production. Blake Bortles
that's his band. He's the lead singer.
on the drums.
Oh.
Marquise Lee. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Sorry.
Look, that's
On bass guitar.
you're
Jordan Matthews.
100% banking your title on garbage time.
No. Not 100%. It's not like the first 3 quarters they can't score any points. I am just saying that
The Jags' garbage
if
time
you're-
always begins in the into the first.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
So you're buying a ticket to garbage time. You're
I-
going to the show. You're
Garbage-
sitting front
garbage
row.
production.
Garbage
we
production.
said,
Right.
and it is important. It is important to make sure we're clear on this week's episode. This is championship week. We said on our streams of the week that they were low, and hopefully you have stashed some of the guys we talked about for a while. I am not hoping to play Blake Bortles, nor am I starting him over many other options. I think he's around my quarterback 15, maybe even lower this week. There are plenty of guys I like more, but I do think that what we have seen recently from Blake Bortles that has been an abomination will not happen this week for fantasy. I think he can have some production against the Titans, because if you look at the Titans, last 2 months, they had a good week this last week, and prior to that, they've really given it up to the quarterback. So that gives a little bit of hope for Allen Robinson, but I'm hopefully not playing Allen Robinson, not playing Bortles. So I want to temper those expectations and say I think that if you play them, it's not the end of the world for you, but hopefully you have better options.
Let's run some names. Put it to the test.
Not Bortles.
Blake Bortles or Carson Palmer in Seattle.
I'm going Bortles.
Andy's face says
Why would you start with that one?
because it's difficult.
Very rude.
Very
rude.
It is super close.
Oh,
Man.
gosh.
All
I'm looking at the Palmer. I have Palmer 2 spots higher.
right. Blake Bortles or Colin Kaepernick.
Cap.
I would go Cap.
Blake Bortles or Matt Moore.
That's where I'm going Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
All right, last one. Blake Bortles or Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford with a busted finger
Stafford.
takes on Dallas.
Stafford.
Yeah, I'm going to go Stafford as well.
Okay. Dallas shutting people down.
All right, guys. It's time.
It's tough this week.
It's time to get into the starts. Yes, it is tough this week. I laugh because there are opportunities this week with DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, maybe Blake Bortles. If you're deeper league, you have to start him. Todd Gurley, who we're going to talk about in a minute. There's opportunities for a season of redemption.
Blake-
Right? We're in holiday season. You can be completely redeemed.
Blake
If-
Bortles or Sean Mannion.
Oh, yes! I'm not going to tell anybody to start Sean Mannion other than myself, who I did not get.
I'm just saying, you can be completely redeemed by winning somebody a title. Blake Bortles, you might be buying an autographed Blake Bortles jersey from Pristine Auction by the end of the week if you start him. Of course, I don't think you'll be doing that. But there are guys like Todd Gurley who have had a tough year that we're going to talk about right now.
Starts of the week.
Let me let you know how this is going to go today. We're breaking down starts of the week, one at every position from each of us. I'm not going to speak first on any of them. And I hate you both. Every week we have we prepare for the show. We have a doc that we go through. And the rule that we have on starts of the week is basically if you get a name in there before the other guys get the name in there, they're yours.
Early bird gets the worm, my man.
And I went in this morning not knowing that these two gentlemen, who are oftentimes the later ones to get them in, had already done it. And so I went into my rankings. I dug around. I picked guys out. 3 of the 4 guys that I picked out, and this should only give you confidence as a listener, 3 of the 4 that I picked out had already been claimed, and I cried into the heavens in agony, and yet I don't, because you love them too, and so I love them. But I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to have to piggyback and say, yes, I love that pick. Mike, let's start at the running back position.
Okay.
Break down your running back start of the week real quick for us.
My running back start of the week is Rob Kelly. Thank you. He has been very productive. He's had high volume since taking over the starting role. And you look at sometimes, you look, what has this team done against the running back position? And he's playing the Bears, and you look and go, oh, the Bears, they only gave up 4 for 45 and a touchdown last week to the running back because Ty Montgomery was the one who did all the damage. The Bears have given up over 100 rushing yards for 5 straight weeks. We talked about Rob Kelly and his seal hands getting it together in the passing game. 6 receptions the last 2 weeks. He can get it. If that is going to grow into his repertoire, he is going to be a dominant type of a fantasy running back. So I really like him this week against Chicago. Washington fighting for their playoff lives. Kirk Cousins, I know it was a bit of a disaster last week all around for Washington. The offense still got it going, though, and I like Rob Kelly.
Jason.
Yeah, well, for me, look, you talk redemption season. If you drafted him, you spent a first-round pick on him.
Redemption
And if you're in the championship, you probably ended up actually trading for him, buying him on the cheap. And that is Mr. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is a must-start, and he is going to win people championships this week. He plays the hapless 49ers run defense. They are not bad. They are the worst team
Very hapless.
in football against the running back. How bad? How about in 11 of their 14 games, they have given up over 100 yards? And how about they have given up over 200 yards to running backs in 3 different games? I apologize. 4 different games. They've given up over 200 yards on the ground, including this last week where Devonta Freeman went off. Todd Gurley's got some payback from that week 1 when he was in San Francisco. Now they go to L.A. Start him. He's going to get you 20 fantasy points.
I give that a hearty Kia. Todd Gurley was going to be my start of the week. I love it. I love the pick. I have him up at number 5. I completely agree. I think there's no way the offense moves the ball worse with Mannion at quarterback versus Goff.
Actually, I've got super sad news on that. Jared Goff practicing full and is expected to start.
Yeah, that is sad news.
I know. It was going to be so fun.
It also ruined my entire what I was saying. Didn't know that. Regardless, San Francisco's terrible. They'll be in the red zone. Look, I wish I could have picked Gurley. I have him at number 5. I'm going to back you up on that, but I'm going to go with LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount, I have him at 8 overall this week, which is the highest I think I've rated him maybe this year. All the guy does is score touchdowns. He's going to have opportunities in this game. And look, maybe it's only 2.5 quarters worth of opportunities. That's enough for me. I love Blount against this Jets defense. They're going to have to scheme against Brady, and Blunt's going to do what he always does, which is, yeah, I know we disagree.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know this is, you just brought this up, but this is yet another guy we disagree on. I think that they're going to scheme and pass the ball 50 times in this game and go away from Blount when you've got such a bad receiving defense and such a good running defense. But
They
Blount
They haven't done it yet.
Blount
so.
is leading the league in rushing touchdowns, and as we say, the Patriots are always on the 1-yard line.
Never had a game this entire year with less than 11 carries.
There you go.
So, but to your point, those 11 carries, the one time he was that low, it was the Jets. It was the Jets. So, last 3 weeks, 18, 18, 17 with a touchdown in each. I love LeGarrette Blount. I will give you my quarterback because we didn't have a disagreement on quarterbacks. It's Cam Newton. Redemption in part, again, the redemption story is here.
Redemption song.
Cam Newton, for me, he's ranked well above the consensus. You're in a divisional matchup with a high over-under. Cam Newton against the Falcons. All you need is a couple of those deep throws. He's been good. He hasn't even run the ball a ton because of the shoulder injury, but he had a solid 2-touchdown week last week. Could have had more if it wasn't for Graham Gano's magic foot. So, I like Cam to finish, get this, in the top 5 this week.
Whoa.
In the top 5.
All right.
So, who's your start of the week at quarterback, Mike?
I'm going to keep the Song of Freedom going with Phillip Rivers. He has thrown double-digit touchdowns every week since week 8. He gets to take on the Cleveland Browns, the dream matchup for really any position for fantasy football. He also has a little bit of a mojo on his side last year. He took on Cleveland 358-3 in that game. Phillip Rivers can put up monster production. I like him in this game. They are not. We like Kenneth Farrow this week, but that's because he can catch passes. I think they're going to boat race the Browns, and because of Philip Rivers.
Yeah, for me, I'm going with Jameis Winston as my start of the week. A few weeks ago, we were excited about him playing the New Orleans Saints when he put up his second worst game of the season. Oh, he only threw for 184, no touchdowns, and so some people are going to be afraid to start him again. However, the New Orleans Saints, we talk about Drew Brees' home road splits all the time. The Saints' offense is way better at home, which means their defense is actually worse because other teams have to score to keep up. And, if you look at the points given up, the Saints defense give up 30.2 at home and only 25.7 on the road. This is going to be a game script where if Drew Brees can get it going, which we saw last week that he is just fine, if he gets it going against Tampa Bay in another kind of redemptive game, then Jameis Winston's going to have to go, back and forth.
Mike went with Rivers. Jason went with Winston. I got Cam Newton. Let's talk about wide receivers. Mike, why don't you kick it off?
I'm going in that game. I'm going in that Buccaneers-Saints game. I'm going Michael Thomas. He has been spectacular throughout the entire season, and he should see a lot of Vernon Hargreaves from the Buccaneers. That is not a scary matchup for me at all. I want a piece of that, the Saints offense, and I'm going to take what I think is the most reliable, most consistent piece, and that's Michael Thomas.
Couldn't agree with you more. I wanted to grab Michael Thomas. I have him at number 8 this week, so I completely love that play, Mike. I have him a couple spots ahead of Brandon Cooks. You're always playing with fire when you rank him ahead because Cooks could go ham, but he could also go eggs. And
Eggs are bad?
No, eggs are good. Unless they're all runny.
He could go ham or he could go spam.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Ham or spam.
You did it.
Nailed it. Well done. That's why you got Michael Thomas and I didn't. All right, my start of the week is going to be Alshon Jeffery. Last week, 9 targets, great performance, scored a touchdown. He is the lead dog, and Matt Barkley actually looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, Jason.
And I think Jeffrey is looking nice for title week this week. Once again, the tale of redemption continues. I love Alshon Jeffery with the matchup. Jason, let's talk about the young guy you have at that wide receiver start of the week.
Sure. My wide receiver start of the week is a guy.
We do disagree a lot this week.
Man, look, I'm right. Here's who my wide receiver start of the week is. Last week I pumped the brakes on the New England wide receivers. This week I am starting all New England wide receivers.
You've cut the line. The brake lines are cut.
I originally
Wild card.
I mean Tom Brady. If I can start Tom Brady, I'm doing it. And so
at wide receiver. Okay.
He's caught a touchdown before. Here's the reality. I put Julian Edelman in as my start of the week because I've got him extremely high rated. Mike called me a coward. And then I was like, I'll go Malcolm Mitchell because I think Tom Brady's throwing 4 touchdowns against the Jets this week, and I want a piece of that action. So that's why I'm going with Malcolm Mitchell as my official my official start of the week. And if you look, last week he had a bad week. That was on the road against Denver, in Denver, the number 1 passing defense. Tom Brady had the worst game I can ever remember. Before that, even including that game, including the terrible game where Malcolm Mitchell did nothing, since week 11, guess Malcolm Mitchell's fantasy rank at wide receiver, including the 1 point he got last week.
Number 1.
No, come on.
He's just trying to make him look bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to ruin you.
He's the 9th best wide receiver because he has been on it, and he's getting it done with volume. 7 catches, 8 catches. The guy has been great, and I think he's going to torch the Jets.
You've got Malcolm in your Mitchell.
Yes, I do.
All right, we're going to close out the starts of the week with the tight end position. I'm going with Kyle Rudolph.
You are not, because I got him first.
I know. I love Kyle Rudolph, and I couldn't help myself. No, Mike has Kyle Rudolph this week. I love him. I'm going to go with Cameron Brate, though. He has been carrying a lot of fantasy owners through these fantasy playoffs. He has that great matchup we talked about with the New Orleans Saints and Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking one another on in the division this week. I love Cameron Brate to keep the trend going in that 52.5 point over-under.
We got his ownership over 70%
About
finally.
time. Finally.
We did it.
So, Mike, you have Kyle Rudolph. I've ruined the surprise.
I got Kyle Rudolph. We talked about him getting tons and tons of targets. Last time he took on Green Bay.
So many targets.
So many. The best targets. 3 for 31 and 1 against Green Bay last time. That is a vintage Kyle Rudolph line. I like him to score in this game. he gets it done, and the Green Bay secondary does not terrify me very much.
Close us out, Jason. I like your pick as well.
Yeah, it's always scary to me to pick a guy on Thursday Night Football because we talk about it and then we get to see it, and it's like, oh, I hope I'm right. But there's no way I'm not starting Zach Ertz if he's on my team. Zach Ertz has been a monster over the last, since week 9, he's the number 2 tight end. He has been great. Last week, we were worried about that very difficult matchup against Baltimore. They are super good against tight ends. He was 6 for 80. And that was coming off of a 10 for 112. The volume is there for Zach Ertz. And I know that New York Giants defense has been very, very good this year. But they're only the 20th ranked team as far as fantasy points given up against the tight end position. So I think Zach Ertz, he's getting too many targets for me to sit. I'm going to start him.
Love it. All these starts of the week will be on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Check it out. Let's move on to the most important segment of maybe the entire year.
Of your life.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
All right, here it is. I'll tell you, I'm excited for this one. I'm stoked.
Chandler
Catanzaro.
Yeah, right.
Is never going to be the boom boom kicker. There's all right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you a couple guys that is not who I like. I love Vinatieri. I'm always going to love Justin Tucker. I gave you the real sleeper here of a guy that apparently I believe in that no one else in the world does, Caleb Sturgis tonight. However,
Thursday Magic. You going with that?
Well, they're not favored, are they?
I doubt it.
There you go.
I doubt it.
But I'm not going with the Thursday Magic. I'm reaching back. I'm reaching back a year. 1 year ago, the best, the greatest, the GOAT at the kicker is going to win championships this week. It's Gostkowski. And yes, I know that there's going to be a lot of extra points that he's kicking. But once a team is up by 50, well, they can kick some field goals. Okay, so Gostkowski,
he's your boom boom.
My boom boom. Locked and loaded.
I'm telling you, we didn't even plan this, but this redemption story thing is just weaving its way through the show, even with Gostkowski. I mean, that's impressive. So,
Song of freedom.
That's not good. If this redemption story works out for fantasy football championships this week,
Chandler Catanzaro.
No, he's a loser.
He's beyond
maybe,
redemption.
No, I'm just
maybe
saying
someday
I'm not gonna win the championship.
Mike can redeem himself for that man bun. It's possible.
Maybe someday.
Save your beard.
Get your trophies at fantasyjocks.com. The promo code is footballers.
Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.